Marcia Stefanick is a medical researcher who is passionate about her work.
She really brings out the best in all of us, and I mean this both personally and scientifically.
Marcia's always had a passion and a dedication around equity in all its forms, and in particular in science.
The male body has been the norm for medical research. In the 18th century, there was an interest in sex differences, but kind of for all the wrong reasons. Women were not part of clinical trials in the US until 1993. Science is not usually legislated, but to get women and underrepresented minorities included in clinical trials, there had to be a federal law passed, which blows my mind. And the problem, it's not just including women in clinical trials. All the mice and rats where drug discovery begins are also male. And this is what Marcia and I have worked on this for years. We brought all the big animal researchers together and we're asking different questions. And this all led up eventually to the National Institutes of Health passing the requirement that anyone asking for taxpayer dollars for federal funding for research must include sex as a biological variable.
I grew up in Western Pennsylvania, right on the border to Ohio, and my dad was a veterinarian in a family with 7 kids, and being the middle child and 3 girls, 4 boys, played a big role in my interest in sex differences, both the biology and just all the social factors. I came from an era when my goal was to get married and be an educated wife and have a lot of children when I graduated from high school, but then I was an exchange student and saw the world in a totally different way. And when I went to University of Pennsylvania, I just loved biology. The women's movement happened when I was in college, and that was very liberating. Basically, I just started realizing that the more that we understood about males and females, biology, and the sociocultural factors affecting us, the more we could understand how we can be more than just a woman or more than just a man, more than, our biology, because the more that we expand our knowledge, the better we're going to be. I always had 2 paths. So I was very interested in exercise physiology, body composition, and I was very interested in hormones. Both things were looking at preventing heart disease. I was a marathoner and loved exercise physiology and learned about a study that Peter Wood was doing. They were about to do the first ever randomized trial of physical activity to see if it actually did increase HDL cholesterol, the good cholesterol. It had never been proven before. And so it was all men, because at that time, that was the only thing was funded. We were not funding research on women. The next trial that they did was a weight loss study of all men. I worked very hard on that trial, but I said, women are not small men. I'm not doing another study that doesn't have women in it. We need to study women.
My memories of Marcia actually started right when we both entered our postdoc together. And I just remember her being this vibrant, energetic, friendly, outgoing person. And I really have come to think of her as my academic sister from another mother. At the end of our postdocs, there was really no career trajectory at Stanford at that time. There was me and Marcia and a couple of other fellows who were so committed to our research that we were doing. The Stanford Heart Disease Prevention Program was the first group in the world to do community-based prevention. Marcia was able to become a director of these very important studies that they were running. She also became very interested, as the country was becoming very interested, in hormone replacement therapy for menopausal symptoms. At that time, a lot of docs were writing prescriptions for that, but there was relatively little information. There was hardly any research on women at all. Marcia saw this, understood this. She and other investigators, and a lot of them were women, were able to really advance the field in terms of getting some of this early women-focused, menopausal women-focused research done that had never been done before.
It was called PEPI, the Postmenopausal Estrogen Progestin Interventions Trial, and it was the first trial that NHLBI, National Heart and Lung Blood Institute, which is the institute for all cardiovascular disease, it was the first study they ever did that had only women in it. You needed to answer whether menopausal hormones would prevent heart disease. And so that launched the Women's Health Initiative. That was like perfect for me because I had all this experience now doing diet interventions, and because of PEPI, I had done hormone interventions. The WHI started out with 162,000 women across the whole country. It had 40 clinical centers, and that was really the biggest study of women that's ever been done.
So many publications that have been cutting-edge, landmark publications have come out of that, and Marcia has played a major role in virtually all of those.
My big study now, Women's Health Initiative, is still continuing, and I'm the principal investigator of the Western Regional Center. We're on our 7th year of intervention. In a year, we're going to be publishing the largest study ever to look at whether physical activity prevents heart disease, which has never been actually proven.
You know, administration for academics often is not our bag. We look to other people to do it. Marcia runs towards those things because she sees it as a challenge, and she really believes and understands how critical that part is to getting consensus. She's done this here at the university. She's been part of the faculty senate. She sits on a variety of committees across the university. All kinds of things around her passion in the area of equity and women's health and gender equity.
We have a lot more work to do. It's not just women. LGBTQI people have particular health needs, and they should be included in research too. And I know Marcia is passionate about this.
You know, the biggest problem with sex differences is that people want to make it all about estrogen and androgens, testosterone. And they don't realize that there are so many other factors that affect our biology. And that's really where the whole study of sex differences has now emerged, where we're seeing everybody recognizing that we need to understand the sociocultural context.
This is where wisdom was born. The Wisdom Center really serves as the catalyst and the mothership for a lot of the sex difference research that's happening in the medical school.
The goal of the Wisdom Center is to get every department in the School of Medicine to think about sex and gender. We fund studies to get people to look into this, add this to their research. If they've done studies only of males, like do the females, or think about the diversity of the biological topic that you're interested in.
Marcia's been one of the pivotal mentors in my career, without a question. One thing that I really love about Marcia is that she's very passionate. You know, she really pushes us all to think about, you know, the important questions in a really, really productive way, where you feel that like you've grown and have come to a realization. Marcia is really good about doing that with her mentees.
She's keen to make sure that every student is getting what they need. She teaches courses that I don't think would be here at Stanford if it wasn't for her. I have so much respect for her willingness to not shy away from really difficult conversations and teaching.
You feel like maybe somebody out there is going to be the one that's going to change the world, and I could have that influence on that person. You need to challenge science. You can't just say it's published and therefore it's real. It's like, no, scientists are people. We're all biased. We build our biases in our conclusions. So there's just something about doing that with young people who are challenging older people anyway. So it's a perfect setting where it's like, well, let's work on this together because I'm going to learn from you. And so it's just very rewarding.